All right, guys, welcome. So glad that you're here today. This is something we have been working on for a long time. This is really the brilliance of my partner here. This is TDI Dev. We know him as Erwin. This is something he's been working on for some time, and we just couldn't be more excited to release it. We think this is going to be extremely popular and really create all sorts of opportunities for people that whether or not you're interested in automation or not. I think you get just tremendous insight into some of the capabilities of how to work with indicators, how to work with money management, and variance with regards to ATMs and some of the optimization we're going to show you here today. So rather than go off on a long-winded intro here, I think I will just turn it over to TDI Dev or Erwin and let him demonstrate this masterpiece that he's created. So with that, I turn it over to you, Erwin.
Hey, thank you, Sam. So, yeah, like Sam said, it's something we've been working on for a long time. And the whole idea behind the Algo Studio Pro is that it allows you to not only create your own algos, but also backtest, optimize, and live trade them without basically needing to know any coding knowledge or not a mathematician or whatever difficult stuff. And a good example is you, Sam. I mean, we all know you as an excellent trader and a great educator. But there's one thing you cannot do, and that's code, right?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, but yet you surprised me by producing a algo using Algo Studio, which actually is profitable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that shows
First
the
one,
power of.
the very first one that I put together, and I just picked an indicator that I hadn't used much because I wanted to see if I could find some benefit to it. And with maybe 30 minutes of just tweaking and playing with it, I had something that was remarkably profitable. And I think that's the beauty of what we have here is how easy it is to use. Now it takes a little time, a little tweaking, and that's kind of the fun. But once you get something, then it can be automated and you can manage it and keep it and run it and optimize it as you go. It's really, really powerful.
Exactly, yeah. And that was the whole idea behind it to get everybody yeah, accessible to building their own algos. And so that's what I want to show you in this webinar. Also, let's my idea is to start with a simple algo, build it so you get to know the product, see what it does, and then we take it step by step by optimizing it a bit and looking at the equity curve, etc., etc. So let's start with step one. And as always, that's an empty screen and an idea. So my idea was very simple. I want an algo which trades with a trend and waits for a pullback to get in. So what I have on my chart is just a 200 EMA, nothing more, and of course the Algo Studio. So let's see if we can build something which basically trades pullbacks and see how it will do. So to open the Algo Studio, you simply press the button and then you are presented with this screen. Now for building your own algo, you basically have two options. You can use the graphic designer like you see here, or you can switch to the logic tab and just put in the logic rules. It doesn't matter which one you choose because any change you make in one window will automatically be reflected in the other window. So you can switch between those and choose the one you prefer. Personally, I prefer for simple algos with just a few rules to use the logic tab. But if it gets more complicated with a lot of ands and ors, then the graphical designer maybe give you a better overview. So for now, I'm sticking to the logic designer, and we'll come back to the graphical designer later. So to build an algo, like I said, we have to have some rules for our strategy. And the most obvious rule is, of course, that we want to go long when price is above the 200 EMA, or short when it's below the 200 EMA. So let's start with that. So I'm just going to press the add condition. And the moment to do that, you can see all kind of signals on the screen. And that's because this condition is just producing all those signals. So what you can see on the left here is all the rules we set up. And if you click on one of those rules, you get the settings right here. And that's for the long entry and for the short. So you can define when it should go long or when it should go short. So for this first rule, we want to say, okay, when the price is greater than, in this case, and then we have to select a EMA. So I'm going to choose new. And then in the next window, you can see all your indicators. And we can just...
One thing to emphasize here real quick, not to interrupt your flow here, but you can use any indicator. Right? It doesn't have to be
Exactly.
a TDU indicator, right? It can be any indicator you own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just using the one of the defaults, which comes with NeoTrader, the EMA. And here you see the properties. I want a 200 period. And well, the EMA only exports one plot, which is the EMA plot. So I'm going to use that. And now already you see what's happening. When price is above the EMA, you will see green bars. So that's the signal to go long. And if we scroll back a little bit, you can see that when price is below the EMA, it turns to red for red signals. You also see immediately that it starts taking virtual trades. So you can see that here it's opening a trade because it's above the EMA, and it's closing it right here, and it's opening another and another. And you get the trading statistics and also the equity curve. Well, the equity curve doesn't look very good at the moment, but yeah, we just started. So, but you can already see that immediately you get feedback on what you're building. And every little change you do in the Algo Studio is immediately reflected in the backtest statistics. So that's a great option to see if you're heading the right way or not. So we added the first rule. Note I only added the rule for the long entry, and the short is automatically filled in. It's just taking the opposite. So in this case, it's less than the 200 EMA. So the next rule would be that we want to have a pullback. So for that, let's add one more. Let's add one more before we go into the pullback, and that's that I want 2 bars above the EMA. So I'm going to add another one.
That would be the entry signal, 2 bars.
Yeah, basically, what I want to say is that I want at least 2 bars above the EMA 200, just to prevent it from you know, when price is exactly at the EMA from flipping all the time. So 2 bars at least.
That's a nice little nuance, though, that's worth commenting on.
Yeah. So I have 2 bars above the EMA, and then for a long. Okay, now I pressed the wrong button, but doesn't matter. I will.
Well, actually, that's good that you did that here to demonstrate, because I've done that a few times before as well. You're working with it. If you get something you like, you know, don't forget to save it.
Always save it. Yeah, always save it. Okay. So let's do it again. So this was for the current bar, and then we're going to do this exact same thing for the previous bar. And there we have the previous bar. And then the next condition would be that we want a long signal, because here we can see a pullback. It's going up, then it's pulling back, and then on this green signal we would like to open a trade. So in this case, the current bar then should be a green bar, and you can see already a lot of signals disappearing. But just a green bar.
Better.
It's already getting better, yeah.
Yeah.
But just a green bar does not mean that it's a pullback, right? Because before the pullback, there should be at least a couple of red bars. So what I'm going to do is say that in this the previous bar should be the lowest bar of the, well, let's say last 5 bars or something. So it should be a little bit like a swing low. So I'm going to add another entry and say that the previous bar in this case should be a swing low of, let's say, 5 bars.
Meaning
So,
that there's 5 bars on either side of it.
yeah.
Okay.
No, just on the left. Sorry.
Oh no,
Just
pardon me, on the left, right? Yeah. So we've had at least 5 candles.
Yeah, and just in case you want to verify if this rule you're adding here, your condition you're adding here is working, you can just click the other ones. You turn them off, and then you can see the just the effect of this rule. And so you have one here for the shorts, and here for the long. And for the long, you can see that indeed this one is the lowest bar of the last 5 bars, and so is this one. So that seems to be working. And then we add the other ones also. And finally, I would like to have kind of a confirmation. Just one green bar. I want another bar which is closing higher, just as a little bit extra confirmation that indeed the pullback is over. So I'm going to add one more, where I say the close of the current bar should be greater than the let's see, the bar high of the previous bar. Okay, so now we have our algo ready. And if we, let me save it just to be sure.
Yeah.
Before we lose it again. And now if we study the chart, you can see, okay, well, here we have a kind of pullback, and it's opening a trade here, then it's pulling back. It's opening a trade here, which didn't work out, but okay, because the pullback was not done yet. But then there's a pullback here, and it's opening a trade long. So you can already see how this is now starting to work. So by clicking the algo again, so here we have a rule. So I mentioned in the beginning that it doesn't matter if you're working on the graphical or the logic designer, and now you can see it because we only worked in the logic designer, but the graphical designer is updating as well with all the same rules, so you can see how this should work. A few things about the buttons on the top. It allows you to turn things on and off. For example, the equity, if you don't want to see that. If you don't want to see the trades it took, or you want to see it, the same with the statistics. I'll come back to the exit signals later on, and the same with the entry signals. So you can turn those on off when you're working on your algo. For example, if you are trying to find the best entry signal, you might not be interested in the equity, the statistics, and the trades. Maybe you just want those vertical stripes. And then when you have something, you can turn those on again. Of course, you can save, load, and open your template like I just showed you. And yeah, then when you have something, you say, well, it's looking okay. Then it becomes a matter of defining your stop loss and take profits and basically your ATM settings. So then we can go to the next tab. And in the next tab, you can, basically specify your ATM settings. You can add multiple.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
Sorry,
go
mate.
ahead, Simon. So go
Sorry,
ahead.
quick question. It's Simon here. It's first you've heard from me. I'm just wondering where the default location is for saving those, if anybody's wondering.
Oh, that's
if
a good
they can't
question.
find them.
Yeah, it's in your documents folder.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just documents. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
I
course
just made a separate folder for it, so I can always go to them quickly.
Yeah, you can choose any folder you like, but the default one is just your documents folder. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And out of interest, can those then be used with NinjaTrader's strategy analyzer or anything like that?
not
Or can it be
directly.
exported? No. Okay.
Not directly, but later in the webinar I will show the strategy auto trader.
Brilliant.
And
Okay.
using that, you can also use the strategy analyzer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So back to the ATM. Like I said, the ATM you can define just like the NinjaTrader ATM. Your basic stop loss, your take profit, your break-even point, your trailing stops. all stuff like that. You can add multiple positions if you want. I'll just leave it at one position. There's actually a lot of options here. For example, your target, do you want ticks or risk to reward? Your stop loss, should it trigger immediately or when it's in profit a certain amount of ticks, or when you reach the certain amount of risk to reward, etc. There's a lot.
That's a new feature that you just added. So if you had a scalp and a runner, when the scalp hits its target, that I just seen that. That must be a new feature you've just added. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So there's a lot options to choose from. You can even scale in. So for example, let's say your trade is 20 ticks in loss. You could say, well, I want to open another position, and when doing so, move my target to break even plus 1 tick, for example. So that's basically dollar cost averaging. Not sure if it's a really wise thing to do, but some people like to do some kind of grid trading. And I guess if you really monitor it, then it might be something you want to experiment with. You can also add to trades which are in profit. So if you want to add more once your trade is running profit, that's also possible. Nice. And of course, you can add multiples those as well. So then it becomes basically the task of finding the best ATM settings for your market and your time frame. And of course, you can play with all these settings and try to find the most optimal one, but that's very tedious, a very time-consuming task. And also it will change, because it will not change daily, but yeah, 1 week is maybe more volatile than the next week. So that's why we added this optimizer, which I'm pretty proud of. And the optimizer is using genetic algorithms to find the best ATM settings for your current market time frame and algo. And the way it does this is basically like the Hunger Games, where it will generate thousands of ATMs, and they all going to fight each other, and the best one wins. And we do that for multiple tournaments, and the winners of the previous tournament go to the next round, and new ones enter, and that way it will start improving the final ATM, which is the winner. So that's in short. If you want to know more about genetic algorithms, there's a whole bunch of videos explaining how they exactly work. But here you can control a little bit how it will work. So you can specify the number of generations. So basically, how often, how much tournaments will be held, and how many participants or population enters the tournament. I would suggest to leave it on the default settings and first play with it, and then start adjusting accordingly. So for example, let's just press start and see what it does.
Well, that's a good example. That's what most people will do when they're testing it. They'll just fire it up and hit net profit and see what they get, right? Which is a good starting point.
That's exactly what you would want to do indeed. So when it's running, you can see the best results here, and it's also plotting it in the background with the trades. So you see the equity curve, you see the statistics, and you see the most important statistics here as well. So it did 30 generations, and you can already see it improved a lot. Now, is this something I would trade? Not sure. Although the max loss 600 might be a little bit too much for you, or just 22 trades, maybe not enough to fully trust it. So I would like to see more trades and maybe a little bit lesser loss per trade, or max loss per trade. But that's the things you can configure here. For example, you could say, well, I want my max loss to be like $500, and then try again. It's not guaranteed that it will find a ATM with a max loss of $500, but it will try. Because basically you're optimizing for, in this case, the net profit. So what it will do, it will favor ATMs which provide a higher P&L. But if the max loss in this case is then more than 500, it will give a penalty to those. In this case, it increased a little bit. The max loss is now $187, so that's already better. Yeah, that way you can play with it and find the best ATM for you.
Well, yeah, one thing that I've been doing is when I get a result like that is I go back through the trades and see, okay, based on what happened here, is there a filter or refinement that I can add to it to improve the result or reduce that drawdown? And that's kind of the fun of tweaking, and it's the treasure hunt, looking for that right combination that might be just uniquely yours that gives you the result and the risk parameters that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's also often a matter of which time frame you're choosing. You can imagine that if you're trading the daily time frame, that your drawdown will be much bigger than trading in 1 minute, of course. So it's not only the ATM or the entries, but also your time frame, which has affects that part.
What other options are there, Owen, for optimizing? Apart from
I guess net profit would be the most used, but you can also use profit factor, win rate, average R, which basically is the average return for the trade, the expected value, and the drawdown in percentage and in dollars. So yeah, that's quite a few options you can optimize for. Mostly I leave it to net profit. Choose a little bit more generations, and then when I get something which I like, but for example maybe the profit factor is lower than I would like, then I will just start and put the minimum in here and try again. And usually after some time, it comes up with pretty decent results, provided of course that your algo is making sense, so your logic is making any sense. So I did that already for the algo we have now designed. So if you go to the other tab, then you can see that here I optimized the same algo. You can see already if I open it, it's the exact same one for about 500 generations. And yeah, the equity curve looks a lot better. You can see LFK profit, the win ratio of 84%. Profit factor is pretty nice at 1.69. But more important, especially if you're trading, for example, Apex or other platforms, is what is your drawdown? It's not even $1,400. So even with a small Apex account, you would be able to trade this. And the biggest loss is $500. So that's also quite good. So this is what you
recommended. Sorry, Owen. I was just wondering what the recommended number of generations is, or is it just more is better?
More is always better. It depends a little bit on how much time, of course, you want to spend optimizing, because the more generations, the longer it will take. You saw that at 30 it went pretty fast, but if you put 500, then it will take a lot more time.
Yeah, I've also noticed as well when I've been running it that obviously machine spec has a huge play on that, and also your the settings you put in there as well has a huge kind of change on that as well. Very much so.
But it does help if you really increase the generations.
Yeah.
And why does it help? Because sometimes it finds a suboptimal value. So it's exploring a space, and in that space it finds the most optimal value. But by increasing the number of generations, you're basically giving it a bigger area to explore. And then it might find an even better ADM. And that's what I often see, that It finds something, and then, for example, 30, 50 generations, it doesn't increase, and then suddenly you see another increase because it explores a different set of ATMs.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, here you can see the ATM it found for this equity curve. Basically, target 43 ticks. You move the stop loss to break even when we are 12 ticks in profit, and from there we drill each previous bar plus a 1 ticks, and we start with an initial stop loss of 1 tick. And yeah, you can see the equity curve is looking great, and the trades as well. And
well, it's perfect math because that you've got 40 ticks is 500, right? That's obviously right. So for the S&P, so your biggest loser was a trade that just it entered and then went to the stop directly, and you can kind of see it looks like it was the first trade.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. It starts with a little bit of a loser.
Yeah, which distorts the drawdown percentage.
Yeah, so that's something I'm looking into, because in the beginning, when you don't have any profits, any loser will immediately be causing a drawdown.
Right. Yeah, that's why I wanted to point that out, because it's a little bit
100%.
deceptive there.
So what I'm thinking of for one of the next versions is to say, well, calculate your max drawdown percentage, for example, after X number of trades, or when you are an amount in dollars in profit in your equity curves, then start it. Because in this case, it doesn't really make sense to say, well, you have 100% drawdown just because your first trade was a loser.
Right. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make a point of that, because people might look at that and say, "Oh, I can't trade that. Holy smokes, that's ridiculous."
Yeah.
But it's just that first trade, right? It distorts the numbers.
Yeah, so that's why most of the time I'm looking at the max drawdown in dollars.
Exactly. Same here, right?
That's often makes more sense than looking in the percentage. So any more trades from you guys, or should I move on to the next one? Or any more questions, I would say?
Let me look on there. Well, let's see. So how many days was that? That's 15 days. Do you have I've been doing 21, 30 days, trying to get a larger sample size. And what I notice is doesn't get a trade every day.
Yep.
That's
true.
which in a way is a good thing, right? We're also, dialed into we're trading every day if you're working with a product like this, and that might be some diversification. So you're moving beyond just the ES, or perhaps you're trading all the indexes, which what I've been doing and getting such good results. I've been trading all 4 indexes at the same time, all running different algos, and that diversity is kind of interesting. Some will trade 5 times in a day, some maybe not 5 times a week.
Yeah, that's what basically all the algo traders are saying, right? That you should, when you're trading multiple algos, which is preferred, make sure that you're trading different markets, but also different algos. So maybe you want trend following, one counter trend, maybe stuff like that. Maybe one breakout. So different algos and different markets, just to diversify.
Yeah, exactly what I've been doing.
Different time frames as well, I guess, because you've optimized that on a 10 range, but that could actually be twice as good on a 20 range, or twice as bad on a 20 range, couldn't it? It's the thing. This is why you can kind of disappear. You might find a profitable algo that could then take you another week to try and optimize for the different time frames just on one instrument.
Right.
I guess.
And a larger time frame, you could always go over to 1 or 0 DTE options to execute that way. So there's lots of flex. There's so much power here. It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, and that also makes sense, right? Because for ES 10 range, it found an initial stop with 40 ticks would be the best. But you can imagine running this on NQ, that 40 ticks, that's like 5 microseconds, and it's already hit. So
it's so true.
For NQ, you definitely, the algo would still be the same, all the rules, but your ATM will be different for NQ, just because it's so much more volatile.
Yeah.
I think your drawdown would be much worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, reading what other algo traders are saying and listening to their best practices, that they all say, well, there is no algo which you create once and it will generate your profits for years. The best way to do it is optimize it, well, maybe once a week for the current market conditions, and then the week after optimize it again, just in case the market has changed a little bit, and that way you'll make sure that that it stays profitable. Because I mean, we're now looking at the last 20 days. What are the chances that tomorrow the market is completely different? It might be a little bit different, but yeah, it will still, it should still be profitable. But in 5 months, well, anything can happen in 5 months. So that's why you constantly need to, in my opinion, optimize your algos for the current market conditions. And yeah, whether you do that every day or once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's up to the individual, I guess.
Well, yeah, and that's good to point out, because I saw the same thing. I might optimize for something on Tuesday and close down my machine, open it up on Wednesday, bring up the exact same algo, and that equity curve might look a little bit different. So you've got to look at it and understand why. Is there something that changed, and do I need to re-optimize, or can I just understand why it's different?
Yeah. So, but what I noticed is that most algo traders do at least once a week a optimization.
Yeah, that's good practice to start with.
And then you don't have to go back like 10 years with backtesting. I mean, just the last 2-3 weeks should be enough. Because the chances are that if you're now optimizing it over the last 3 weeks, then the next couple of days, the market will more or less be the same than in the last 3 weeks. So your algo will also produce the same results on average than in the last 2-3 weeks.
Beautiful.
Let's see. Then I want to go to the next one, which is our another algo I've been working on. And this one has some nice, how do you say it? Peculiarities, requirements. As you can see, let me explain the algo first. I added our market structure indicator to the chart. And basically, I put everything off besides the BMS or the BOS. So the break of structures. So you can see here's a break of structure, here's a break of structure, and here's a break of structure. And what I'm trying to do with this algo is, we know that after a break of structure, a pullback will occur. That's basically SMC 1.0. So we will wait for the pullback and then go into, well, either long or short, depending on if it's break to the upside or the downside. That's the algo I've been working on. So, for example, let's see. I don't have my toolbar here, but here we have the break of structure. It goes up a little bit. Then we have the pullback right here. Copy. Here we have the pullback, and that's where I would like to go long, and then etc. etc.
Oh, interesting. Now, did you set that to a percentage of pullback for the entry, or a number of candles?
Yeah. Good question. There are of course multiple ways
That's what I thought.
to define a pullback. You could also look at retracements, for example. That should retrace at least a couple of percent. But in this case, I made it very simple. I just said, well, I want to see one or more red bars and then a green bar.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very rudimentary pullback mechanism, but yeah, it does the job. Not always, but yeah. So if you look at the algo I made, you can see it's a very, very simple one again. And those tend to be the best, by the way, the most simple algos. So first things first, let me disable the other tools. I'm saying, well, I want my market structure indicator, which has a plot called break of structure, to be 1. And you say, well, how the hell do you know that to put this in? And that's where I always use the data box from NinjaTrader. So if you open the data box, and not many people know this, but if you open the data box window, it shows you all the plots of all the indicators which you have on your chart and the values it's plotting. So if I look right here and look at this break of structure plot, you can see here it's 0, and then on the next bar it becomes 1, and then it's 0 again. So this bar, it indicates, okay, there's a break of structure. It's all 0 here. And then this bar again, because of this break of structure, has a 1. So that way you can determine that yeah, you need to look at a value of 1 for a break, in this case the break of structure. So that's the first thing we do. And then the next thing you want to do is look for the pullback, but you don't know when the pullback will occur. It can occur 1 bar later, 2 bars later, 10 bars later. So we need a way to say, well, I want a break of structure and hold that for me, please, while I'm waiting for a pullback. You can do that by extending the signal forward. So
oh yeah, this is a key point here.
Yeah, so by default it's not extending, and you will see just a vertical line when the break of structure occurs. And the next
so that's
part,
a breakout. It becomes a breakout indicator there.
Yeah, then it's basically breakout. But yeah,
look at your equity curve.
It immediately goes extremely bad. Yeah. So, but you could say, well, let's extend this forward 2 bars, and then or 3 bars, or I don't know what you would like, 3 bars, 4 bars. So you can choose a number of bars, or you could say, well, just extend it until the opposite signal occurs. So a break of structure to the downside in this case. So that's basically what I did here. I said, okay, let's select 10 bars. So I have 10 bars where this signal becomes available for me, and then during those 10 bars I can see if I can find a pullback. So then for the pullback, I said it was a very simple pullback mechanism. I just want the previous bar to be red and the current bar to be green. So it should switch from a red bar to a green bar, and that should be then the end of the pullback. Now, of course, you can create much more advanced pullback mechanisms, but for this webinar, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. And we go into more complex algos in future videos. But you can see now how this extension works. Now, what might happen is that while you're here in a trade, that another break of structure occurs, like here. I mean, here we have the break of structure, we get a pullback, we open a trade, and while we in the trade, another break of structure occurs. Well, that's fine as long as it's a break of structure in the same directions, because that basically confirms you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can stay in the trade. But if it's a opposing signal, so that would be a break of structure to the downside, then I'm not sure if you want to stay in the trade. I guess you would want to get out and close it. And I'm not sure if we can find a example of this very quickly. Oh, here we have
that, yeah, that's perfect example right there. So and you don't have to, right? You can always intervene and say, okay, I don't like this trade. I'm getting out, right? You don't have to like sit and wait for it to take. Obviously, you can always just exit the market, assuming you're watching the market while this is happening.
Yeah. So here we have an example.
Yeah.
So we have a break of structure to the downside. On the pullback, we open a short. So here to the downside, we get a pullback. We open a short, and unfortunately, we are basically selling the low of the day here. So the market goes against us. And then here we have an opposing break of structure. And even though our stop loss is here, you want to get out here, because basically the market is confirming you are wrong, and you should start looking for longs instead of shorts. So what we can do for this is not only define our entry signal, but also our exit signal. And in this case, I will use the graphical designer because we already looked at the logic one a couple of times. So you can see entry here. And if I click on it, then it will change in exit and everything will become red. And now it will show the exit signals. By default, there won't be any exit signals, and the trade will only exit when it hits its stop loss or its target. But for this one, I created a exit signal, and you define those just as the entry signals. The only thing is it determines when to exit the trade instead of when to open the trade. So the first one you can see the long exit. I want to close the trade. In this case, when it's for example -1 or 0, I don't know what was it, 0, what was, yeah. So this is the condition when I want to close it, and for the short you can do the opposite. You could also say, for example, and this is another condition I added here, I want to close my trade at 4 p.m. So I don't want to trade overnight. You basically can add all those signals you want.
Same with the open, right? We can have no trades until after 9:30.
Yeah. And if you want to see those signals on your chart, then you can use this button. And maybe it's best then to put the entry signals off. And there you can see all the exit signals. So, for example, if I just look at the one where we say after the open, you will see here that after the close, after 4 p.m., it will not open any, it will close any trades, and those are the stripes here. And the same with the one for the market structure. So that's how you can define your own exit rules. And they don't have to be hard exit rules like I did here. You can also use EMAs or trading stops or basically any indicator value you like to determine if you want to exit a trade.
How does it work out precedence between, say, your exit strategy here and obviously your traditional exit strategy of a stop loss or potentially a trailing stop loss, etc.?
Good question. It will just exit the trade better your ATM or the exit signal fires. So
okay, whichever comes first then.
So it's like an OR.
Yeah, it's like an OR.
An OR.
Whenever,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, whenever one fires, the trade will be closed. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the exit signals and the extent. There is a lot more about what you can do with all the different types of filtering, and you can also use multiple time frame, but I guess we save that for later videos.
Yeah, we are just barely scratching the surface here. We've done, but this is a great introduction just to see, because this is doing something like the market structure is a little bit more sophisticated. Where I started when I got the first versions, I just started with indicators. And I did simple things like, okay, well, when I don't want to trade if we're in a squeeze, I only want to trade if the RSI is over 50. And I only want to trade if we're above the 34 EMA. Right? I mean, those kind of combinations are I think fun for a trader because those are the things you're used to. I mean, so in so many videos or just teaching sessions, I would literally take a line and draw a line on the chart and say, okay, here's what we're looking for. When we have a little divergence here, we have the OBV is going down. We're out of a squeeze. The RSI is below 48. When all those conditions are met, which we see here right at this line, that's the trade you want to take. And you can literally program that into the algo so it will fire at exactly that moment rather than you going, God, oh, is it all there? Do I have it right? The software is making that decision for you and then executing for you with the money management that you've set up without you even thinking about it. So all of that nervous energy that often traders deal with is like, should I get out now or do I let it, or is that a reversal? That's removed. So you want to monitor it, as I've been doing for about 10 days now. You want to watch them and see how they're performing. But it keeps your hands off the mouse, which I think is a huge plus for most traders. As you see that $200 winner, and you're so tempted to grab it, but there was another 350, waiting to be had.
Exactly, yeah, and that's also where this real-time backtesting helps, because this will give you confidence to stay in the trade.
Exactly.
Because it shows you that during the last couple of weeks, or whatever time period you loaded, this strategy has before been in this way. So if you're in a trade, then you will know, okay, the expectancy is that in this case I make what is it? The biggest win is 500, and my biggest loss is also around 500.
Yeah, but look at your win rate.
Yeah, so if I'm at 200 in profit, I know, well, I should stay in the trade because I have a high win rate and my biggest win is 500. So
exactly, right.
I should not get out.
As soon as you intervene, you're not trading those numbers anymore. You're trading something random. You're trading your own emotion.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a perfect how do you say it? Moment to go to the next topic, I guess. Because you could segue this. Yeah. You could just trade this manually. Yeah, that you say, okay, I have defined my my algo, I backtested it, and I'm only interested now in the signals, and when a signal occurs, I'm going to trade it manually.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to auto trade it.
No, you can do that, and in the future we'll add alerts to stuff like this, so you get an alert when there's a bar. But yeah, of course, the real magic is when to auto trade it, and that's where the strategy comes in. Because basically, the Algo Studio is what you see here. It's the designer in which you design and backtest all your algos and optimize them. And then there's a strategy to live trade them. So let's try that. So I switch to a new tab. I have my chart trader open, and for strategies you always need a data connection. So I'm quickly going to connect to live data, and then just load up the strategy.
Okay, so you're going away from the Algo Studio Pro, and you're going to the internal Ninja strategy builder. Do I understand that?
No. The Algo Studio is basically two products. It's the designer, which we saw, like where you can design, optimize your trades, and there is the strategy, the Algo Trader strategy.
Oh, I see
which
what you're saying.
allows you to auto trade it.
Okay,
that's where we're going now.
Okay.
So, are these going to be sold separately, Owen? Are they going to be sold separately, or are they going to be just one big package?
Well, for the beginning, there will be one big package, and we will also be providing a discount, which we will put under the link of this video for the probably the upcoming, to the end of the month, probably. So you have time to get the free trial, test it, and then make use of the discount. But like I said, it will be bundled now. But we do have plans to separate those products in the future. So if you're really interested, I wouldn't wait that long, because I'm not sure if they will stay together much longer than, yeah. Like I said, we're probably going to split them at some point in time in separate products. So let's add the strategy to our chart. You find it, of course, on the strategies. You can see the Algo Studio Pro Trader. And if we open it up a little bit, there's a lot of parameters you can set up. We'll also go into details about all these parameters in the future. But for now, the most important is the template. And that's basically your algo you designed. So I'm going to load my optimized pullback algo, which we saw before. And then you can say, well, should I do I want to trade it live, or do I want to show the results of the historical data? So I'm just going to do the backtest and press OK. And then, of course, we have to enable it. And now it's basically going to all the data, backtesting it, and I should not say backtesting, but back trading probably it. And you see the trades appear on the chart within a few seconds.
Did you hit backtest or were you live trading?
I did now hit backtest.
Okay.
Because otherwise I have to wait until a signal occurs.
Right. I get you.
So that's why I did backtest now. For if you really want to live trade, then you should just disable that. Of course, you can use the strategy analyzer as well for this. And yeah, it's calculating. It always takes a little bit of time. And notice
This
a
is where you
panel
realize
appeared
you've
here.
got 50 days loaded.
Yeah, exactly. Notice that a little panel appeared where you can, when you put it in live mode, you can arm it, you can pause it. One pause. It's still calculating, so we have to wait a bit. You can enable or disable shorts or longs if you want. And when it's in a trade, you can quickly close it or move the stop loss to break even. So that way you can interact with it a little bit. We are still waiting for it to.
Do you want to explain maybe while it's calculating the difference between armed, continuous, and one shot?
Oh yeah, it's already done, but I can explain it. So
oh, it is done. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. So if it's set to continuous, it will just trade until you manually stop it. If you set it to one shot, it will just take one trade and then automatically go to pause. And then you have to arm it again, and it will take another trade, and then it will automatically go to pause again. So that way, it will just take one trade. And if it's set to pause, then of course it will just do nothing until until you arm it again. And the same with the longs and the shorts. You can say, well, I don't want the shorts, or I don't want longs, or I want them both. Well, you can see the trades happening here. Here's a trade, and there's one. And if you scroll back, there will be probably multiple others. Let's see. There was one. And of course, you can also look at the strategy performance either this way or by using the strategy. What was it? The strategy analyzer. So and see the results right here. So yeah, that's the way to live trade it. And
do you tend to recommend having the strategy on the same chart you've got the actual algo designer on as well, or running them separately like that?
Yeah, but don't have really a recommendation, I guess. It depends a little bit on what you find the best for you. You can run it on a separate chart, or you can run it on the same chart. It's just whatever you like. Might be a little bit cloudy if you run everything on one chart, but yeah, it just depends on what you want. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Any more questions, guys?
Oh, I think we've probably gone long enough as an intro, because there's so many more layers we can introduce here. So I think what our plan is, we're going to do a dedicated playlist on our YouTube channel, on the Trade Devils Indicators YouTube channel, and we'll do a combination of things that we find. We'll go through many of our indicators, but I think also it's worthwhile to demonstrate that they don't need to be our indicators. This can be any indicator you're using, as long as it has parameters in it that the Algo Studio can grab. You can customize and filter and tweak to your heart's content. So, you know, something just as we did, something rudimentary and simple, like a higher than the 200 EMA. Yeah, we can't get any more simple than that, but put on a Stokes or an RSI or something like that. And then you can start to create those conditions and see if it's improving or not. And you know, it's funny for me, there are things that I just consider to be just gospel, as in, well, of course, always I wanted to, and then you test it, and it didn't improve your results. And there were some things where I was just shocked that it didn't get better. And then with a little tweaking and refinement, I found the right combination. But certain things that I would always want to avoid, like for me, I don't want to enter during a squeeze. I want to wait till we're coming out of the squeeze. So that kind of filtering was very interesting to see how that affected the results. And those are things that we'll start releasing those videos on a pretty regular schedule here. And certainly I think we'll welcome input and feedback from users as we do with all of our indicators. Some of the best tweaks and adjustments we've made have come from member feedback. And we'll do the same here. So as we get good results, good combinations, we'll share them and give traders some insight into how they were created.
Yeah, sounds good, Sam.
Okay.
Sounds good. I think we're going to try and do a live webinar in a week's time or so, aren't we?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. We should try and do that as well, just for some variety. And so something similar to this, but we'll probably have some new combinations, things we worked with as we continue to tweak and refine. I can tell you this, from the first version that Erwin sent me, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, it's 10x improved since then. And so we continue to improve it, refine it, add little features. Simon and I will work with it and give Erwin some feedback, and it just gets better and better. And I think that we will only continue in that direction. So
January, this has been going for on and off, hasn't it? Obviously, Erwin stepped away to kind of work on the auto trader, the FP auto trader, but yeah, this has been kind of floating around since then. But yeah, since January, it's
I think
it's a completely different product.
He's been working on it for some time. We just got our look at it just somewhat recently. I know I did.
Yeah.
And now I'm addicted to it. I can't leave it alone. I keep coming back to, well, I was working. And the other thing that it did, it introduced some indicators that I hadn't really considered working with before, because I just didn't like, whatever reason, I was not thrilled with them. When I put them into the Algo Studio, they got a whole new life. And I kind of fell in love with some indicators I hadn't worked with before. So there's just so much potential here. I think people are really going to enjoy working with it. Not that it's easy. It's not push button, make money. Nothing's like that in the markets. It takes some effort. It takes some work. It takes some tweaking and some understanding of what you're doing. But with time, I think this can be a tremendous asset to any trader looking to improve their results.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, so we should probably wrap it up there on this one, and then just reinforce that we'll have many upcoming videos going onto our YouTube channel, onto the dedicated playlist, and then I think we are going to try and do something live next week, so we can introduce it to more and more people.
Sounds good. I guess in the meantime, people can download the trial from our website.
Oh.
And on our Discord, we also have a dedicated channel for the Algo Trader, where you can ask questions and discuss algos or tips and tricks. And of course, I will be there in there as well, and Simon as well.
Yeah, that's where we get good ideas. Okay, guys, let's wrap this one up, and we'll put a pin in it for the setup for next week. We'll do one live. And take some feedbacks from our subscribers and members then. So with that, let's call it a day, and we'll look forward to our next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Okay, guys.